The Delhi Games are on the brink of a full-blown crisis, 11 days out from the opening ceremony. A short time ago, local media there reported that part of the ceiling at one of the venues has collapsed. That comes 24 hours after a footbridge came apart, injuring dozens of people. As one problem follows another, athletes and officials are feeling increasingly uneasy. Today, Australian Danny Samuels, the world discus champion, pulled out of the Games over health and safety concerns, and others are considering their options. We'll cross to our correspondent in India shortly, but first, a day of drama in Delhi.
The collapse injected disaster into the chaos of the Games city. Workers constructing the footbridge beside the main stadium bore the brunt of it.
I was working under the bridge, that's why I could escape quickly, but those who were working on the bridge could not escape and were injured.
Everyone was doing good work, but sometimes mistakes happen, says the Minister for Development. New Delhi's Chief Minister has ordered an inquiry and blacklisted the building contractor.
We have been stressing right from the beginning about the quality of the construction and the need to take extra care.
The chorus of complaint about the state of the Games village has exploded.
We have emphasised the importance of addressing the issue of the condition and the cleanliness of the Games village, which I would have to say in many of the towers, I'm not going to pull any punches, were filthy.
Residential wing, yes, some work, especially the deep cleaning, needs to be done. But again, I can only say it's a world-class village.
The Australian contingent has been among the least critical voices, but now the government wants answers.
The Commonwealth Games Federation has written to the Indian government regarding the village and also regarding preparations for the Games, so obviously we await further information from the Federation.
In the wake of a shooting at a Delhi mosque and a dengue fever outbreak, the New Delhi Games are lurching from crisis to crisis. It's a case of not worth it for Australia's champion discus thrower Danny Samuels.
It has reached the point now where I cannot justify competing in India, as I believe there are too many potential hazards to my health, my well-being and my life.
A trio of British athletes have also pulled out, one saying safety was more important than a medal. Jane Cowan, ABC News, New Delhi.
And Jane Cowan joins us now from New Delhi. Jane, we've been hearing reports of another collapse. What can you tell us?
Well, Juanita, there has been a collapse. It's a minor one. It's the false ceiling in the weightlifting venue. It's fallen in. Officials here are playing it down. They're saying it's nothing on the scale of the bridge collapse yesterday where people were injured. Certainly no indications that anyone has been hurt this time, but again, not a good look in this continuing stream of bad news for the Games.
Now, the organisers have copped an awful lot of criticism today. Has there been any noticeable change in their attitude?
No, they're continuing to play everything down, saying that everything will be fine. All their responses to each new problem that arises are very calm, almost dismissive, and that in itself, as much as the problems, is causing an outcry in the Indian media because there just doesn't seem to be any sense of accountability. There's never any acceptable explanation for how things have been allowed to get to this point. Just these constant assurances without any concrete reasons given for why people should continue to have any confidence in these Games.
And Jane, what's the likelihood of Australia or indeed any other nation pulling out altogether?
Well, there has been another Australian athlete who is considering pulling out of the Games. Hayley Butler is the 100-metre hurdlist who was a gold medal favourite for these Commonwealth Games. Her coach has told the ABC that she has a young child and she's receiving a bit of family pressure to perhaps stay right away from these Games. Also, the Scottish team has now delayed its departure for the Games village on account of concerns about the state of that accommodation. So at this stage, the Games are going ahead, but what kind of competition it will be is an open question.
Thanks for that, Jane. Jane Cowan there reporting from New Delhi.
The organisers of the New Delhi Commonwealth Games insist they'll be safe, despite yesterday's attack on a bus which injured 2 Taiwanese tourists. Security's been increased in the Indian capital, but families of Australian athletes are growing increasingly concerned about safety. The Australian government's made no change to its travel advice for India, but is warning anyone who plans to travel there to exercise a high degree of caution. The ABC's Jane Cowan reports from New Delhi.
It's a public relations disaster for a city trying to make international athletes feel welcome. The images of the attack have done nothing to quell fears about security at the Commonwealth Games.
It's all very well 3 months ago deciding, yes, we're going to go to Delhi. But when it gets closer and you start to hear of an increase in things that sound like terrorist plots and that sort of thing, it does get you concerned.
At the popular Jama Masjid Mosque in crowded Old Delhi, gunmen on a motorbike fired on a tourist bus.
It affects everything because the message goes, security lapse, authorities are not serious about it.
The Islamist group known as the Indian Mujahideen has claimed responsibility for the shooting, but authorities won't say it's terrorism.
To talk about the motive is very difficult at the moment. We're investigating all possible angles.
New Delhi's Chief Minister says there's no reason to panic, but opposition parties are upping the ante.
The Commonwealth Games are approaching. The Indian government is responsible for Delhi security. We expect that precautionary measures will be taken.
The Australian government is keeping an even tone, and for now its travel advice remains unchanged.
The government is very conscious of the need to ensure the best possible advice to those people thinking of going to India for the Commonwealth Games.
I would characterise this as a low-level incident. Yes, it caused a disruption. It is true that tourists were targeted.
Does it mean that the security is not good enough?
We are roughly 2 weeks away from the Games, and this has served the purpose of making sure that the system is going to carry out a very quick and detailed review.
Which groups do you see as the major threats to the Commonwealth Games?
I would say that if any, it would be some of the splinter groups, because at this point in time, even the major groups that had the support of, say, what we in India refer to as the trans-border element, groups that have in the past received support from the Pakistani establishment. My reading, this is tentative, and I hope I'm not proved wrong, is that even the Pakistani establishment would not want to be seen to be supporting any major group in disrupting the Commonwealth Games.
It's perhaps a measure of the security environment here in India that a day after the shooting, hours even, life was very much back to normal outside the mosque. The organising committee says the shooting will have no impact on the Commonwealth Games, and the Australian team says it's satisfied with the security being provided to athletes.
It hasn't been enough either to deter the Australian cricket team, outnumbered by security as they arrived in India. A calculated risk in an ever-changing equation. Jane Cowan, Lateline.
Well, the Games haven't been good news for New Delhi's poor. In one case, a whole community has been bulldozed to make way for a car park next to the main stadium. Those people are now camping in makeshift sheds on the edge of an open sewer. The ABC's Jane Cowan has the story.
All around New Delhi there are signs of progress and celebration. But down a narrow space between buildings, it's a different world. On this sewer with banks made of layers of compacted rubbish, scores of families are living.
At night the pigs sneak in and sleep with us. They have bitten the children.
This is home. Flimsy huts made of sticks and sheets of plastic. The people say they were thrown out of their previous homes by security forces to make way for this, a car park for the main Games stadium.
They just beat upon our doors with their sticks and asked us to get out quickly. Some people ran for their lives.
We used to live so nicely before, and now we are living in this filth. When the rains come, the drain overflows with sewage.
The sewer has become a play pit. The children are irrepressible and ordinary life goes on amid the filth. But even the littlest know things are desperate.
This place is filthy and there are snakes here.
When it rains, our clothes get wet and so school turns us away.
250 people are living here on this sewer, but thousands are living like this all over New Delhi. The people believe they're being hidden as part of the so-called beautification of the city ahead of the Commonwealth Games.
In order to please foreigners, you'll ruin your own people. Is that good? Your games have made a game out of our lives. What can I say about the games? They've just devastated our lives.
One humanitarian group estimates 300,000 people have been made homeless by the Commonwealth Games. Only 20% of them have been given anywhere else to go. Jane Cowan, ABC News, New Delhi.